We are a strong believer of combination for economical point of view, for mobility application. I'm speaking about that. Fixed application is another game with another business model. But for the aviation industry, we need to have global coverage, and MEO, LEO offering such kind of capacity, whatever the region will be, including regions that you have just one aircraft flying.
Hey SpaceWatchers, and welcome to another episode of our Space Café Radio. I'm your host Thorsten Krinning, publisher of SpaceWatch.Global, and we are at the World Space Business Week here in Paris, and I have the great pleasure to sit together with Philippe Carette, the COO of the NEO Space Group. And we are diving together into the world of space aviation and in-flight connectivity. And NSG just announced a major acquisition of Display Interactive, strengthening its role as a global leader in integrated satellite and aviation services. And with that step, NSG is pushing the boundaries of digital passenger experience, airline efficiency, and Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030's ambition. Philip, welcome to Space Café Radio, and how are you doing today?
Hello, Thorsten. Thanks a lot for your welcome and the opportunity to describe and to speak a little bit more about the NSG company and a very specific business related to in-flight connectivity. That means, as you mentioned, Aerospace Group is a very new company, set up more than 1 year ago, but we reach already more than 750 people, already employees. That means we are a subsidiary of the hedge fund PIF. That means to support the growth of the Saudi Arabia country. That means we are driving by the vision of 2030 and to support the diversification of the industry of Saudi Arabia. That is coming from the oil industry mainly, but now I would say the industry in Saudi Arabia is driving in many different sectors, and in-flight connectivity is one of them.
And I'm super excited to sit together with you to talk about an area that is not so common for me. I'm an ex-SATCOM guy, so there is a connection into that. But aviation industry and in-flight entertainment is something that is pretty new to me. And over the last year, I had the opportunity quite regularly to talk with your colleagues and to understand and hear about the growth of the company, and the recent acquisition of UP 42 is also something that I, as a Berliner, have seen and seen with very big interest. Let's dive into that. So first of all, congratulations again for this recent announcement. So NSG is acquiring Display Interactive, and Display Interactive is an innovator in in-flight entertainment. What does this acquisition mean for NSG and for the future of in-flight connectivity?
Yes. And what perhaps to react on what you said, Thorsten, in-flight connectivity is really known by everybody, because as a passenger, when you fly on an aircraft, what is the most important things for you, not perhaps today, but in the near future, is to be still connected, despite that you will spend hours on hours in a plane. And unfortunately, at the moment, the service provided by airline are not so efficient. That means the target of NSG is definitively to provide to the airline and to the passenger a very advanced system of connectivity. That means to have exactly the same experience that you have at home in the plane, to continue to do exactly the same thing, to do e-commerce and so on.
Help me to understand it more, because for me, you talked about connectivity, and I fully agree. So what I need when I enter an aircraft or on a long-haul flight is an internet connectivity, reasonable price with good coverage. Having the old systems with geostationary satellites, meaning flying over the poles, then the bandwidth sometimes was not that efficient. So that changed obviously dramatically over the last years. But what else? How does the future of in-flight entertainment look like? Is it just the connectivity, as you said, like at home? Do whatever you want, take your own device and fine you are? Or do you see an offering of whatever entertainment in the frame that is possible depending where you sit in an aircraft? We have also...
Absolutely. And that's linked to the question you asked, why we acquire a company related to Display Interactive. Because what is very important in connectivity, you need to have exactly what you said, the bandwidth, the pipe, the data, the volume of data. That is half of the challenge to provide a very relevant system. That means first you need to have a very efficient bandwidth, to have the right satellite coverage, any place in the world the aircraft is flying, you need to deliver the service. It's not a fixed application, it's mobility. That means one part is definitively related to bandwidth, and we have some partners to operate satellite, not only GEO, as you mentioned, but more and more multi-orbit, GEO, MEO, LEO. That is one part. But the second point is also to deliver the data, deliver the service to your own device when you are in the plane. And that's the acquisition of Display Interactive, is to grow in the value chain and to have really an end-to-end system to the passenger, including also the digital content. That means to do e-commerce, to do browsing, to do all the application you do at home, to have exactly the same service through the portal on your device. That means you said you're absolutely right. In the past, it was a payment attached to that. More and more, as we have seen in the hotel, other location and application, it came to free Wi-Fi, and a lot of airlines now, the major airlines are starting to offer free Wi-Fi, including for business class, for first class, but more and more for frequent flyer passenger to offer free access and to do exactly the same experience. That it will be a differentiation. If you take one airline compared to the other, it will be also the service of in-flight connectivity on board the aircraft. That means, back to your question, definitively, it's not only a question of data. It's not a question of which satellite will bring the data, but it's also what kind of service we offer to the passenger. Easy to do the surfing, the browsing, the e-commerce, and so on. And Display Interactive is a company based in France, working with airlines since years, providing exactly the end-user interface, very important, and that brings added value to NSG. That means the purpose of NSG is not to have a fully vertically integrated organization, is for some critical activities to develop by your own or to acquire company like Display Interactive, but also to have a lot of different partnerships to bring very open architecture and mindset and to bring the relevant technology for the airline and then for the passenger.
What is the killer application of the future in the frame of our in-flight connectivity?
You have seen typically a lot of companies are starting to be very focused. Typically, I give one example, Amazon. You are in a plane, you want to purchase something and to be delivered at home when you arrive in your final destination. You don't have to wait to be back home to purchase something. Did you already purchase something from a plane during a flight? Not. I can guarantee you that your experience will change in the coming years. That means very soon, starting 2026, 2027, at the moment you hesitate to do that because you don't are fully secured and not sure that you have the right bandwidth and connectivity and so on to do such kind of application as you do at home. And definitively the challenge, and you will see in the coming months a major change in that industry. That's the reason why NSG focus as a new player. We don't have very old legacy system. We are bringing absolutely breakthrough technology. And that's the reason in less than 12 months, we have been able to attract big names, not only in Middle East, but in Asia, in Europe. Airlines have decided to select the NSG system because they consider that it will be a major change for the passenger in terms of experience. And what is our challenge is exactly you want to surf and to look on a movie. You don't need in-flight entertainment system to select which movie you want to look on a specific list. You can do what you want from your seat, exactly the same experience that you have at home. And same thing, e-commerce, absolutely key. We need the volume of business generated today by Amazon or other players. Definitively, imagine how many hours you spent in a seat, not being able to move, roughly. The only situation when you are in such kind of position is on a plane. In a plane, you could have a trip of 2 hours, 3 hours, 8 hours, not able to do anything. That's something is that it will be drastically a change in the coming years and months. We are there now. Why it didn't happen and why aviation is so late compared to other situations is exactly what you mentioned initially. Unfortunately, the technology provided by the airline was not at the level it should be. And that's the reason, in fact, the level of adoption on in-flight connectivity on board the aircraft is so low. it's not a question only on price, but it's also a question of performance delivered to the passenger. And definitively, and that's the reason we focus. Neo Space Group is not only a company focused on in-flight connectivity. We are dealing with a lot of SATCOM, Earth observation domain, and so on. But in-flight connectivity is definitively will be a major change in the coming months. I'm not speaking years.
Maybe I'm the too old buyer to purchase something in the plane. I'm sitting at home and purchasing then from one of the big platforms something. So I'm not too spontaneous. But let's talk about the other big thing that also happened. NSG was a founding member of the SES Open Orbits Alliance. Why was it important for NSG to join, to found this? And how does it strengthen your position in the aviation connectivity market?
That means we since day one, signed a major partnership with SES, that is a satellite operator operating worldwide with a significant number of satellites. To answer to your question, couple of reasons. First reason is we are absolutely convinced that the right solution for that market is what we call multi-orbit. That means SES is one of the companies who developed the MEO layer. That means not GEO, high altitude satellite, but MEO providing low latency capabilities. And it's one of the first operators who try to combine GEO and MEO satellite, and perhaps soon LEO. That means we are absolutely one argument we consider very relevant in SES technologies. That's the reason we team is definitively the multi-orbit approach in terms of the solution we can develop for providing high capacity, low latency solutions.
To the aircraft? Are we talking about mPOWER?
Absolutely. At the moment we have O3B mPOWER solution absolutely connected and operating today on the first aircraft, and it will be launched, I would say, and deployed second part of the year for some strategic airlines. I've not decided yet to communicate yet. That means I cannot disclose too much on that because, as you can imagine, the airline will be the first one to announce that new experience. But definitively, back to your point, is to provide GEO capacity, high-level capacity with low latency with the MEO layer. And definitively, typically, to provide to you, including phone call. If you want to make a video conference from the aircraft, absolutely high quality. We could do that now from an aircraft easily. That means that is the first topic. And the second argument, based on your question, is also an open architecture. And what we have seen, what mean open architecture in terms of satellite network, very often in the past, and still today, some satellite operators are providing a solution based on their own satellite. And we know that it requires a lot of investment to have a very global coverage, because it's not a question to have just a capacity over a specific region, but to have the same experience, whatever the position you fly in the world. That means it will require a lot of capacity overall. And very often what we see in the traditional, I would say, system or network, satellite operators are relying on their own capacity. The new things with SES Open Orbit is definitively the opportunity to bring capacity and satellite from third party, including Neo Space Group. That means Neo Space Group have a satellite today over a region, over GCC and Europe region, and we bring and we plug that asset in the SES Open Orbit. That means SES Open Orbit is not only satellite developed, launched, operated by SES, but is definitively an open architecture. If you want to have additional capacity over Australia and a satellite operator, local satellite operator have some capacity, we are absolutely welcome in our alliance. That means it's definitively an alliance of different operators providing different type of that. That's the reason, the beauty of the concept developed by SES Open Orbit, and that's the reason we consider is absolutely the future of the aviation connectivity industry is to bring different operators, bringing different capacity to have a very solid and global network.
Very interesting. You have been very busy at NSGs and partnerships with Thai, Uzbekistan, Turkish Airlines, and more, as you mentioned, nearly signed. So what have been the highlights of these expansion in the aviation sectors?
Definitively develop that new system and I would say market this solution to not only Middle East, but as I mentioned, Asia and Europe. And honestly, we have been very successful bringing big names, I would say, in our big airlines who have decided to choose our solution. That means it takes time to equip the aircraft to deploy. That means the energy solution will start flying this year with some airline not disclosed yet. But you absolutely rightfully mentioned that typically Turkish Airlines, Thai, Uzbekistan, some of those airlines are already announced that they have awarded the energy solution, and those solutions will fly in 2026. That means and equip their flight carrier. That means the major latest fleet acquired by the airline will be equipped with the energy solution.
How is your own aviation background help to bridge these needs of airlines with energy space capacities? Because I mentioned before, I'm not an aviation guy, and I'm a frequent traveler, and I know how to enter an aircraft and to find my seat, but that's it. So the industry behind is a secret for me, but I have the space background. So for me, talking with someone from the aviation sector, we don't even have the right fit because we can't find the right words. So how helpful was that with your own background?
I would say I will not speak about my own background, but the background of the team. Join energy to, I would say, develop. That means we definitively, as you say, based in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh, that's the headquarters, but we have also developed and we have people working remotely from different regions. What is absolutely key, and that it was an amazing opportunity, is when you start from scratch. Because very often you have legacy solution and you are tight with your legacy solution. And what it was the beauty and why we have been successful, a group of, I would say, people, experts of the domain, having a lot of ideas to bring a new solution. And your question, based on your question, could be, why you didn't do that prior to? And definitively is opportunity, and that the PIF decided to really invest. And in that industry at the moment, the ability to invest and to have it require significant investment. That means we had a chance that energy was set up and bring that opportunity. And definitively, as you said, we bring some key representatives, including myself. I spent all my career in the aviation industry. And why we have been successful, we try to bring mature solution, but up-to-date solution. That means what is absolutely key in the aviation industry to succeed is not to bring not reliable solution. What is key is maturity at entry into service. When an airline decides to give you a confidence for a new project, you have to deliver the expectation as they want. Mm-hmm. If you enter into service with not a very solid and robust solution but advanced, that the chance to fail is very significant. That means what we try to do is to choose the best solution available today. Definitively, we have a roadmap. It's not the solution we propose and we commercialize that today is not the final one. We will have a different ease, I would say, of that solution, bringing additional capacities. But the solution at entry to service already installed on aircraft, and we have flight test, a flight campaign with passenger exposure and so on. The feedback of the passenger are, wow, amazing. Exactly what I want.
Interesting. Let's talk about the competitive landscape and challenges. So shifting a bit gears here, it all sounds very cool and very exciting, but there's obviously a world outside that you compete with. And the IFC, the in-flight connectivity sector, is evolving rapidly with new players and LEO constellations changing the expectations that you just mentioned also from others. So from your perspective, what are the biggest challenges airlines face when deciding on their connectivity strategy? You just mentioned reliability and the service, because I think from this new space sector that we are coming from to this established security-driven airline sector, there's a huge gap in between. So tell me, so how is this decision cycle of an airline? What is more than one aircraft as well, yeah?
Exactly. You absolutely focus on the right aspect. It's not like us when we choose a mobile operator for terrestrial application, we can change easily. For an airline, it's a lot of capital investment. That means when they choose the installation of an antenna on the roof of the aircraft and so on, a lot of capex at day one to deploy the solution. That means they cannot swap from one solution to the other every year. That is not possible. Long time ago, I would say, it was a nice-to-have solution. They invest for 10 years. A nice-to-have. Now it's not a nice-to-have. It will be a differentiation from one airline to the other. That means the average lead time, I would say, is 5 years. That means an airline is targeting to be stable on their connectivity solution for minimum 5 years to have the relevant return of investment of the deployment. That means, back to your question, definitively in the airline, decision point is, yes, I want to choose a solution relevant at entry into service and solid enough for the next minimum 5 years. That means what is key is also the performance of the solution and the ability of the solution to bring upgrade on the regular basis. That means that's what we propose. That means in the assessment of the airline is also to look on what that solution will be flexible enough to bring additional capabilities and additional solution. For instance, LEO layer is, I would say, more and more popular on top of the GEO, MEO, and the ability to the system to bring additional LEO capacity. That means it's also the roadmap is key. Technology roadmap for the coming years, absolutely key in the decision point. That means it's always a balance between, I would say, cost efficiency and performance.
It's interesting that you say that you're looking at a time frame of 5 years, because 5 years in communication, terrestrial and satellite technology is a quite long time. And you mentioned that the systems will be able to upgrade. But let's talk about some not easy technical questions. Multi-orbit, intelligent bandwidth solutions, as you mentioned it before, that requires antenna technology for these multi-orbit, multi-frequency bands, and so on. They have to be steerable because the satellites are somewhere in the sky. You have to find them. So all of that comes together. Okay, you can say we have the latest and finest planar antennas are equipped and they can do everything, including playing vinyls and making you a coffee potentially. But how does these capabilities set you apart from one constellation, one solution approach we see in this market? And you go to one of the major LEO constellation and say, okay, do it for us, what we see also on the American market. So help me with that.
Alors, definitively, the purpose on multi-orbit and solution is to bring two key parameters. One is the capacity. That means you have, I would say, in an aircraft of 160, 200, 300 passengers, how many passengers will be connected at the same time? When it was very costly, it was very low percentage. You used to have between 5-10% of the passenger connected max, and time to time for a short haul flight, it will be just a couple of percent. When you start to have a high level of capacity and the airline want to offer a Wi-Fi to a large part of the cabin for free, the level of consumption will go up drastically. Why it was not done prior to? Because the technology was not there. That means now we have the technology, but we have to continue, because when you look the experience the passenger will expect to get in the coming years, it will drastically move up. If you start to have passengers doing e-commerce, gaming, such kind of activities that you don't see on an aircraft today, if that activity will go up and up, it will be definitively capacity. On the same time, the cost of capacity, because it's a challenge for the airline, will go down. We see newcomer, new LEO constellation bringing a lot of capacity. Then when we look the projection of capacity, we heard on the market at the moment, it will be too much capacity available. I'm not sure that it will be too much capacity, but definitively it's a lot of investment to have a lot of capacity available. That means multi-orbit is absolutely key. Capacity is absolutely key. Latency is key. Because latency, depending on the application you do, you will need to have, I would say, latency to have right level of interaction with the application.
But why then multi-orbit? Again, because when you say focus is latency to have this best user experience and the bandwidth in only LEO constellation, and let's name it, here for the stake Starlink, you have that available all over. But you said you're going together with SES to the multi-orbit. And that's something what I try to understand. What is the driver behind that?
Good question. Because, correct, LEO is providing capacity, but the same capacity whatever you are. When you are above the ocean, you don't have any major consumers. That means you have a lot, the same capacity, very few, just one aircraft flying time to time. When you are above LA or big hub, you have a shortage of capacity. LEO will be not enough. You have the fixed application. You have so many aircraft in the same location. That means you manage the peak of consumption there. That means that's the reason GEO is absolutely key. People have this tendency at the moment to say, LEO will be enough. Exactly what you say, Torsten. LEO will be enough. No, because in the aviation industry, you will fly in different locations. It's not a fixed application. When you are in the very crowded area with a lot of aircraft plus fixed application, you need much more capacity. If you increase the LEO capacity, it will be a lot of capacity just for peak of consumption. That's the reason we are a strong believer of combination for economical point of view, for mobility application. I'm speaking about that. Fixed application is another game with another business model. But for the aviation industry, we need to have global coverage and MEO, LEO offering such kind of capacity, whatever the region will be, including regions that you have just one aircraft flying, the bandwidth you need. When you are flying in a region where you have a lot of traffic, then you need GEO providing additional capacity.
You can't do all of that alone, obviously. So partnerships on technologies or on the hardware side are vital, I'm quite sure. So how is NSG building this ecosystem rather than just becoming a service offerer for this particular one?
Alors, definitively, we trust on partnership. We trust on partnership because it's a domain it's not only a question of funding to invest on new technology, it's a question of competence. And we cannot have all the experts up to date on all the domain at the same time. That means we are a strong believer compared to others who try to do everything by themselves, to have partnership with satellite operator, and we will see more and more combination, more and more of different providers at the same time, a different type of antenna, of user terminal. And you have seen, and back to the beginning of the discussion, we mentioned the acquisition of Display Interactive because we consider the downstream and the support to the passenger is absolutely key. And that's the reason we invest first on that domain. That doesn't mean NSG cannot invest in the future to develop own user terminal or to develop and to bring some specific satellite in addition to other satellite operator, but it's definitively a balance between own internal involvement and investment with partnering with key guys, knowing exactly some of the domain in order to provide to the airline always the best system they can have. And we have seen too much, but you was referring to the history of the aviation industry. Honestly, when we look the last 15 years, we have seen so many airlines going on the top and roughly disappear or have been acquired just a couple of years after. And that is a market requiring more stability. Too many fragmented people. That means when we are speaking about partnering, that not mean we need to have too many. That is a market who requires some consolidation, and we see consolidation happen at the time being. But to have a monopolistic or very vertically integrated solution doing everything, that is not the philosophy we have in mind at NSG.
Let's spend the final part of our conversation about the strategic outlook, so strategic going forward. You mentioned at the beginning, so what will be the new user experience and so on. I'm really looking forward to see that. You mentioned also more deals are nearly signed. And without giving away too much on that, or even so as a journalist, I would like to know that upfront. What can you share about this next wave of partnerships we should expect?
Yes, two comments on that domain, Torsten, if I may. One is, as I mentioned, Skywave, that is the name of our product line for the passenger experience, is definitively the key, I would say, building blocks, I would say, in our solution, is to anticipate, I would say, complex combination of LEO, MEO, and that application, that building block, software building block, will be on board the aircraft and also on the ground to provide, I would say, very relevant solution.
Will that be seen by the customer as a brand, or will that be invisible?
No, it will be very often invisible. It's more a brand known by the airline, but at the passenger level, it will be not known because it will be the airline flag seen by the passenger, and that is key. But definitively, what will be very important, because we have, to simplify a little bit, not all airlines are operating with the same business model. That you have, large airline, and we have low-cost carrier. And low-cost carrier are pretty significant in terms of percentage. I don't have the latest percentage, but you have to serve on one side a major airline like, for instance, Riyadh Air, Saudia, Emirates, Qatar, on those big names. But at the same time, you need to serve major low-cost carrier. And when you look the low-cost carrier at that time being, they don't have too many connectivity solutions on board, despite their passengers are looking for that. And because in the low-cost carrier model, they need to make money. And the cost of the solution is too high for them. That means one domain we have not worked enough, but I will see a major change in the coming years, is also to be able to develop business through that application. And this is what the low-cost carrier are looking for. The low-cost carrier are for sure ready and would like to provide to the passenger connectivity, but at the same time, what is the business model? Why e-commerce is so critical for the connectivity solution in the future? That the first adopter, the flag carrier, the big name. For instance, the French guy, Air France, have announced some decision. The airline, typically in Saudi Arabia, you will see Riyadh Air and Saudi will announce big things in the coming months, but those airlines are investing. That means, in terms of business model, is to provide a very advanced solution for their passenger. Low-cost carrier, when you look at EasyJet, Air, at the moment, they don't have major systems. That means one of the key drivers for energy for the coming years is also through Skywave, the application, to provide the relevant capabilities for a low-cost carrier to make money with the passenger. And based on that, it depends on the service you offer to the passenger. When the passenger will see the added value of connectivity during their flight, they will move to that solution.
Thank you for that insight. I could envision that your business model working with a flag carrier and a low-cost carrier might also differ, where I assume that for a flag carrier, you just sell the solution, and then with a low-cost carrier, you might be more involved in the transaction or so. Is that a right assumption?
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
So you're flexible with the models as well.
Absolutely. And that's the reason you have seen the investment we did is more on the platform, on Skywave, Skyfly, what we call that is our tools, to provide those platforms to the airline, to get them to provide to them all the power and to leverage the connectivity solution, not just a pipe.
Let's summarize that and looking into Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030. It's a big vision that is driving not just NSG, but the entire country. So how does NSG see its role in delivering on this vision, especially in that area, both for the kingdom and the wider global connectivity market? Because it seems that what you're doing at the moment is on a global scale, you're going new paths, you're going on new tracks. Also on a scalability level that haven't been seen before. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but that's what I assess.
Definitively, NSG want to be a global player. That means our ambition is not to serve, only the local carrier. And definitively, we have very good relationship with the local carrier. But we have seen in the list of the airline you have mentioned, our presence will be very significant in Asia, Europe, Africa, Middle East. Nevertheless, you're absolutely right when you underlined what is the ambition of the kingdom for 2030. Is definitively tourism is absolutely key. You have seen in entertainment, in soccer, in different domains. What is key in the Middle East overall is a booming, region, trying to attract more and more people, just also for leisure and to spend their time in that means Emirates at that time, Qatar, today Riyadh Air and Saudi. What is absolutely key is to bring, for visitors in the kingdom. And that's the reason also in-flight connectivity is key. That means to equip Riyadh Air, Saudi and all the other airlines is also a flag of the kingdom to put in front of the passenger. That means that's the reason we have also the support to be very strong and very powerful in that domain, because it's a continuity chain. That means the airlines, the major airline in the kingdom, have the responsibility to develop hub and to bring additional visitors. And the number of visitors is growing, and you have seen a new event, so coming soon and everything. That means I don't say in-flight connectivity will be a major differentiator, but definitively what NSG is doing today contribute to that global effort and that vision.
If you look ahead the next 3 to 5 years, what's your vision for NSG in aviation? You alluded on that a bit, and in satellite services. Where do you want the company to be?
Definitively, just perhaps one word about the Neospace Group. It was no space champion in Saudi. That means PIF decided to set up the company. It was, I would say, since 2022, work on that project. And despite the company has been officially headquartered in 2024, that is a long journey to come where we are. And as I mentioned, we reach 750 employees today. And it's not only in-flight connectivity. We have a lot of different activity in the SATCOM domain. Geospatial, you refer to the company we just acquired in Germany to reinforce our own capabilities, but definitively NSG will be a national champion in the space industry, dealing with SATCOM, geospatial, I would say all the different domains attached to the space industry.
Right. Philippe, thank you very much for your time and that very inspirational interview. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Torsten, for your time. Thanks a lot.
If you have further questions, reach out to us at radio@SpaceWatch.Global. If you like these or other episodes of Space Café Radio, leave us a rating on your preferred podcast platform. It is the currency of today. And if you want to stay on the pulse of the space industry, please visit our website at www.SpaceWatch.Global and subscribe to our newsletters. And of course, don't forget to become a Space Watcher. I'm Torsten Kriening, publisher at SpaceWatch.Global. Your independent perspective on space.